Red light, green light, yellow light. A short anthology. Prologue. I hate writing dialogue. The matter-of-fact tone was depressing, and Lance seemed to drip with pessimism. Don't say that. You're great at writing, blurted Kelly with such exaggerated inflection that Lance refused to believe her. She could tell he wasn't buying it. Come on. You know I didn't mean. I get it. You don't have to pretend. I just really wish people didn't make things up, just to make me feel better. Lance glanced away, trying to hide embarrassment. How am I supposed to write something convincing if even right now I can't get this interaction right? I mean, who am I kidding? Look, it's going to be all right. Not everybody can write like you can. Besides, I think you do a great job. Kelly did her best at reassuring him, but she felt heartbroken that he had such high walls. She was good at being social, and this guy, this friend, just refused to get it. Why won't he just get it? Thank you, Kelly, that means a lot. I appreciate your encouragement, and I'll try to be more positive, he says, almost as if he'd rehearsed these responses. He breathed deeply, realizing how fake he sounded, and despised himself even more for it. Lance looked down as he stepped away, partly to ensure he wouldn't trip on the curb, but mostly to avoid eye contact. Jesus, he thought as he walked away. How did I become so awkward? I can see why nobody responds to you, he whispers to himself, trying his best not to let her hear. As if to stamp it with a wax seal. Dumbass, was his last word of conviction to himself on the matter. Chapter 1. Red light, green light, yellow light. Red light, green light, yellow light. The day that never comes quietly playing on the stereo. A lava lamp on the nightstand creates an indescribable nausea in his stomach. Stomping. Footfalls and panic. Lance's eyes widen and then slam shut as the door is shoved open. You never listen. You're supposed to be asleep. This is why you'll never amount to anything, and you're too tired for school. An enraged grandmother posed for war, standing in judgment, shouts from the doorway. Yes, ma'am. Lance urgently responds in his best effort to assuage the wrath that has befallen him. He abruptly gets up to turn off the music, barely able to keep his fear and loathing of her in check. Don't mess with me, her last words before shutting the door. The door. The barrier that keeps him safe from danger. How could she have heard the music? It's so quiet. I can barely hear it. I'm just glad she didn't realize it was Metallica. He thinks silently as the footsteps inform him she's walking away. Everything in his room is so well organized that he can find anything in the dark. Not only can he find it, but he can find it and use it without making a sound. Pens and pencils in the desk drawer, ever meticulously placed. Perfectly timing news reports on the living room television to mask sounds of his movement. He'd heard reruns of old westerns his grandfather would watch so perfectly that he could rearrange his bedroom with little risk of anyone knowing. He knew this wasn't a result of being heard, and she must have just needed to yell at someone. I'm sorry. Please God help me, he thought as the intro to Enter the Sandman played so quietly it may as well have been beeps and boops. Please just kill me, God. I'm just a piece of crap. Please just kill me. The decorative traffic light by the door's only answer. Red light, green light, yellow light. Red light, green light, yellow light. Drifting off to sleep, feeling nauseous from the lava lamp, Sad But True seemed most fitting a song to describe the hell he was thrown into. That night he dreamt he could fly, gliding over his childhood home, coming down when the wind slowed. He was caught unable to run, monsters chasing him and catching up until he was able to lift off the ground on even a slight breeze. He could see everything, could even speak. It was wonderful and very frightening that sometimes the monsters would catch him, but as soon as the wind picked up, he was right back in the sky. Get up! You boys have got stuff to do, and I'm not doing it for you ungrateful little craps. Lance's eyes snapped open, realizing his grandmother was shouting again from the doorway. You have to the count of 3 before I throw cold water on you and beat your butts, she screamed. She was a fat woman, dressed in a nightgown, wearing an intimidating, toothy expression like a snarling dog. I won't repeat myself. Go feed the animals, and don't even think about food until they're fed. You ruined our lives. She snapped these words so eloquently that it seemed impossible to be untrue. Lance believed her and set about warming up, waking up, and finding any way to avoid her. Just then, he could hear gasps of exasperation coming from Tom's room, followed by shouts. I warned you. You don't listen, her voice rang out. Get up, you worthless. You're worthless, she continued. Apparently, Lance's brother Tom got the cold water again. Lance dressed in a flash, still dizzy from sleep, still hearing her words. If I come back in here and you're not ready, you'll be sleeping outside from now on. Lance caught a few moaned responses from Tom before making eye contact with her waddling out of his room. Lance dare not say anything, standing there in shock. To him, it was another morning, and he knew the consequences of insubordination. The rest of the morning, Lance robotically carried about his tasks, feeding the animals, cleaning his room and the living room, brushing his hair and teeth, then hurrying off to the bus stop. He rode in silence as the rest of the world trudged along doing whatever the world did. His mind wandered. He imagined flying and what girls smelled like. He remembered the song Sad But True and began to hum before someone interrupted with a question. He just nodded, not even saying yes. By the time he got to school, he was out of breath and dizzy again. Everything was loud and moving too fast, while he tried not to throw up. Chapter 2. Lance tried to think about her words. Kelly is kind. She seems like she really cares, and he feels guilty for writing her off. Maybe she is right. Maybe I am good at writing, he thinks, as if it would make up for how he'd responded. He struggles with this idea as soon as he thinks it up, and it makes him sick. As sick as that lava lamp made him feel. What is wrong with me, he asks himself out loud. Taking a moment to feel the air brushing against his skin, he makes the attempt to recenter himself and focus on his goals. These days, you could easily sleuth the internet and find inspiration, much less one can find coaching and advice for how to get better. What an amazing time to be alive when we don't need to know someone personally to ask them what they thought about a subject, he proclaims. The sky is overcast, and the threat of rain looms in the background. Even though there is no sound of thunder, Lance can smell it. It feels like a nice change from the sun glaring into his eyes from the window. And as he opens his journal, his fears of smudging the pages melt away, just as if the sweat of his palms would melt the ink if it were too hot again. He writes a few words and then tries to write more but can't think of more to write. Posed at his prose, he pushes and pushes. The moment is perfect, though, he imagines. It's perfectly perfect to write today, he squanders. Kelly's words keep resounding in his mind, yet every time he tries to, he can't feel them. For Lance, this was unacceptable, and he decides to step outside. There's a nice breeze, and he is met with smiling neighbors, birds singing and cars ushering about, people who were unburdened and carrying responsibility at the same time. Lance finds himself meeting the world in kind, yet he really can't understand why he feels as if he is being insincere, even telling a neighbor that he prefers to be alone. Preferred to be alone. Man, you are alone. You're the most social, lonely person you've ever met, he thought.